that there's more than one way to be able to do this, and there's no one right answer. And for them to be able to justify why they did what they did is great, and to know that they've thought through this on their own.
UMI Arizona is the only district council in the system that has one interesting piece to the urban plan program that we do, and that is a site tour. The winning teams from urban plan are brought to an actual mixed-use development downtown Phoenix. It's an on-the-ground, boots on the ground, moment for these kids after they've gone through the whole urban plan curriculum in their schools to actually stand in the middle of a mixed-use project.
We started our day at RED Development, and they got to go up and sit in the conference rooms, and RED Development walked them through kind of how they developed this whole plan and sort of walked through the different roles that the kids actually take on too, and what this looked like and the different phases of planning that they had to go through, just very similar to what the kids have to do. And after that, it's really cool because we get to go on a walking tour and we get to go see some of the very same types of buildings that the kids had to think about building in their plans. So one of those was 44th and Monroe, which is really cool, and the kids love this because they get to go all the way up to the penthouse. And for most of them who are suburban, suburbanites, they don't ever really get to see high-rise buildings. So going up into the penthouse was awesome. They get to see what that looks like. It's also pretty cool because at that particular location, you can see a YMCA from the building, and that's one of the things they have to think about in their plan. You can also see the remains of what used to be a homeless shelter in that area, and so that again ties back into their own plans. Just all around a super cool experience for them to connect back to, this is real life, it's very similar to what you just did in your project. And I think any of the kids that went on that, it really brought it around and connected all those dots for them to be like, okay, I get it.
I think urban plan is loved by the students because it is so different, because it is so in-depth. It is real-world practice that these students are getting. It's diverse, it's hands-on, it's interactive, it's interaction with professionals in an industry, and it's real. It's so much like reality. It is reality. We're going through a real-life process, and students are working in that process from beginning to end. It requires a lot of thought and creativeness. It requires diversity, and I think their expectations at the beginning are changed by the end, and to a large degree they're changed people.
When I was in high school, most of the learning was fairly traditional classroom work. We didn't do any project-based learning where you had to work in a team and really learn the dynamics of working in a team environment. You quickly learn in college, and then when you get into your career, that so much of what you do is project-based. And I think the ability for students to be exposed to project-based learning in high school will give them a real advantage as they move on to the college level and ultimately into their career.
In my high school, vocational training was shop, right? You went and you worked on cars, or you did wood shop or whatever. This is vocational training, or at least enough of it to be meaningful that's at a whole different level. And I think it satisfies the intellect of very smart and curious young people.
I bet that they all leave school and they look around and they look at the communities that they live in, and they have a better understanding of the dynamics of the interplay of all the uses. They look at the shopping centers differently and how those contribute to the cities. They probably view all their municipal governments differently and how they provide amenities and services and planning in general.
I feel like I would be more involved with my community now. I understand how important it is to state my opinions, especially to, say, a city council or somebody who has more power within to do something that I want to be seen, that I want to see done. And I feel like I understand the importance of speaking up for what I feel would be best for my city as well.
I would definitely recommend this class to another student because it really does teach you how to take what you learn and put it into practice. Instead of just taking a test here, you have to give a presentation to a city council and prove that not only do you know your stuff, but the stuff that you have is better than anybody else's. So if you're into competitions and if you're really into applying what you learn, this is a great class for you.
It opens kids' eyes to see that there's all of these careers that they may not even be aware exist. And if I would have had it in high school, I think it just opens doors. It opens doors to marketing, architecture, finance. It opens so many doors. I wish I would have had an experience like this.
Whether or not their career happens to be in real estate or development or land use, maybe it's in finance, maybe it's in medical, it won't even matter, but they'll have a better understanding about how the community and the world around them is created and developed.
So it makes sense, huh?
It's pretty cool.
Pretty cool. Without even touching it, just looking at it, I'm like, all right, you can do that. What I really like is the idea of inspiring students, that is you, about being creative, diverse, and object, and then stepping outside of the box. I could see that in that video a little bit. It doesn't matter if you're 16, or 25, or 35. It's an exercise that inspires you to step outside of the box of your comfort zone and thinking. That means, if you take a look at the role descriptions later, just because you had an A++ in a finance class in the undergraduate or here in the program, that does not mean that you should be the financial analyst for your team. Yeah? The Excel spreadsheet use is fairly simple. You gotta have your numbers right, but you don't need to have a PhD in finance or a master's degree prior to that. No? If you have, you can pimp it out a little bit. No? That means get outside of your comfort box. If you never dealt with community-related work, then do the community part. If you never dealt with marketing, let's play with the marketing director's component. Yeah? Your teammates are there to help you and to guide you. You grow in those roles because that's part of the role play is you adapt and learn and adapt. Don't get completely assimilated with the role. Huh? So the sheet I give you right now is an exercise I would like to do before we talk about this next week. So fill it out. We can talk about it and collect it. I still need to do this actually electronically. It's easier to have the data collection. What makes a good place to live? We talked about spaces and places earlier today. We talked about vibrant communities. We talked about vision. We haven't developed the vision yet, but we talked about what makes that different. What kind of attributes we want for our class, for our setup. So think about this for about 3 to 5 minutes. Every decision comes with a cost. Each decision to use a resource requires a trade-off with another possible use for that resource. Maybe the money in your wallet. Remember that sketch I put up, the chips and the fries, $20 available. So if you have more than $20 available, you might do Whole Foods versus ramen noodles. You might drive an hour versus 20 minutes. So fill this out. We're going to have a discussion for that next session. Or fill it out, time being. Fill it out until next session. We start with this. Fill it out for next session. Homework. So we can use the time better. I would like to invite you to push tables together. So we get 2 boxes, 2 plans on the table. Boxes, plans. And we get started with the plan. So what you see is you have your site plan.
Maybe we just move it over there.
Small version. One more. Small versions. So what's really interesting in the course of this class that folks will. No? Yeah. This is the small plan. I have this as a PDF. What was really interesting to see last time was that there was a point where folks would stop playing with the blocks and would just use colored pencils on the short plan. For taking notes, color with highlighters or colored pencil on the small plan is easier. Because when you do next session and the session after that, and the session after that, when you come back to, hey, what did we build already? Taking notes, how do you develop each block with those building blocks helps. Because it helps to consider time on the pace. All right.
Has the key in
Yeah, that'll be mine.
You assume right.
What are we building, or are we?
We are playing with
we don't know
buildings.
distance. We gotta do
So we're playing with buildings. So we're going to do one thing. We've got to get those stones out. And if you look at the handbook, I just keep going, otherwise we're too late today. If you look at the handbook, there's actually a whole chapter that talks about the building types. Yeah? It also talks about, there's a project checklist on page number 13. What's the RFP? What's your mission statement? You've got to read this as part of your homework in a group decision. You've got to learn this. Yeah? There's also the existing buildings to be built. I think it's page 12. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some of the basic buildings. Believe it or not, I want you to build those basic buildings. Like take literally the blocks in your hands and build them. Because we are all fans of Lego.
Alright, so
Oh, I have a list of that.
let's start with this. Do you want to build this for now, or you each pick a building, and then I have another hook here, so each pick a building, let's build them, and then we can maybe start placing them. Right? You want to work on this? Start here, you guys do those, and then we'll do the next one.
So one of the first buildings you guys should explore. Oh, well, I've got a list on this. I want you to play with the idea of building a mid-rise office. This is the mid-rise office. So what we're going to do is we're going to learn, basically, go through the catalog, find the type, find the blocks, build it, and place it. All right? Mid-rise office.
That's exactly what it is. I love it.
So actually, wait up, not right, parking structure, so black. You can have some black.
Are we supposed to just be sticking this somewhere new, or?
See, this is base here. You only need blues, right?
The R, yeah.
This is the parking structure right here.
I take it this is like the new construction. And this is the whole building.
So how many floors is it? With 120,000 square foot of parking.
So how many square feet are each of these blocks?
The RP is
10,000 square foot.
Yeah. A little block or a long block? I guess the long blocks?
Building block 10,000. Oh, that's the footprint. No, this is the footprint, yeah. So the long blocks are 10,000.
Okay, perfect, 65.
What's that?
I think what we should be looking at is
So
section
20,000,
built
30,000.
section 1,
What page?
14.
The long blocks are how
The
much?
long blocks are 10,000.
Under section B, 4.1. 7. 4.7.
So you have 30,000 parking. We have 60,000 office.
Got it?
So we need some more office. Okay, 120,000 square feet.
So we can double.
So Madison.
Each 30,000 for a double stack.
All right.
Across Madison.
Hold on, I'm confused.
What? Mid-rise office.
Okay.
Mid-rise office. So the book says mid-rise office has a specific structure with the blocks and specific attributes associated with it.
Okay, I see.
Here?
Here.
Or the office?
Page 33.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
120,000 total square feet, right?
15,000
Yeah.
footprint. 8 stories.
Yep.
2. Yeah.
Yep.
We're good.
That's the right color, but it's
It's too high, is it?
No,
It's,
just 8 stories. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
You sure about that?
Says the
All right. All right, next one would have been a parking structure for the mid-rise office. You already built that. Yeah? So the
Totally behind.
mid-rise office was also, I think, the idea that you could actually build structure separately, wasn't it? Offices on top of the parking structures are not permitted.
Yep. So then we'll just detach them.
So you put it as attached to it or rotate it around it, but you can't put it together. No?
We'll just put it in front there, yeah.
Mid-rise office, adjacent.
And that'll shade all the cars.
So that means the question is, are you still eight stories high? And there's some models in or descriptions in here that do not add up in the
Oh,
building
no,
height.
it says no.
If you look at what is a block as a equivalent for space and height, so I'm not completely worried about that right now.
I mean, we
need
can
to
add
figure
more.
that out.
Right.
But again, this is
Obviously, square footage wise, we're there, but we're not their height, so we need to figure that out.
you just learn that you gotta have someone to read the fine print for those descriptions. Because you did see that. They're black, the parking structure, underneath the blue for the office. Yeah? But there's this little tiny fine print that says on page number 33, offices on top of parking structure are not permitted. So you gotta keep in mind height and the allocation of your users. Yeah? Can't do that.
Can?
No?
It's not permitted.
Oh, on top.
On top is not permitted.
Yeah.
So
That's 100.
you can't put it square footage, but maybe you
Yes.
can't put it below, you
Something
can
like-
put it above.
Yeah.
So we're stuck right there.
Well,
There are so many options you can do with this right now. You can rotate it, you can have it as a U.
No,
Oh,
we're
yeah,
at a
yeah.
maximum square
square
footage.
footage wise, it's still 120,000 square feet,
Oh,
so.
good. So we have the parking structure. Now, I would like to invite you guys to do the luxury condominium. Luxury condos.
Luxury condos.
Yellow.
What page are you?
Page 40.
And it sounds silly, but you have the coloring code. So what you might want to consider for these typical building types to actually use the coloring code that helps later to identify that and rebuild.
Yellow.
Height, let's see, city.
And it's 2 towers, 2 10,000 square foot towers. So
This is the footprint.
Here it says height,
yeah, that's the footprint.
A residential or street parking, so that means one off. And
How many stores are there?
yes, but it
So
says
that's
here, where
200,000
A
And
residential
rotate who's putting those blocks
over
together.
2
This
parking.
is,
Yeah, like this.
Yeah.
Oh, no, this is fine.
So that's
2, 4, 6, 8.
Okay,
And then,
Maybe you can say-
maybe 4 black,
okay. Spaces, but 20,000 square feet.
this.
Which towers have to be in this group or?
Wait, the parking is side by side or?
On top, it says here, if you look at height, and then it says
200,000 square
over
feet right
2
here.
parking.
He built a weekend above ground structure.
No, but that's not,
Yeah.
let's start here. It says a footprint, so if your footprint has to be 20.
but if you look at the sketch,
Then you have to look at
if you look at the sketch and what you have built right now, it looks completely different.
At the
And this?
RP.
Yeah, because of the parking notes.
So,
And again, you might not have the
And then
right
they call
amount
for
of
2
story.
towers, they call for 2 towers and they show what appears to be 1 tower sitting on a podium,
it's kind of
but
odd.
that's fine, we can work with that.
This is more like,
Oh, parking on the bottom.
East of the.
But then we went to the 200,000.
So there was 6 spaces for 20.
not everything is perfect to scale in the setup.
Yeah, by the way, this is 10,000, not that, that's 20,000 square foot footprint.
Yeah,
There's
so
2
that's
towers,
200,000 was the total.
yeah, but it's 2 towers,
Maybe.
separate towers.
Somewhere over here next to it.
Right here. you want-
And the question is a block 1 or 2 stories?
It's what?
A block, Duplo or Lego block, 2 stories or 1 story? Gotta find that out.
What was the question?
How many,
Oh, typically 2 stories.
So get rid of half of
Just looking at the bullet point, it's
Right here.
this site, this site.
Typically 2 stories. Subject to exception.
So, reduce the blocks.
So then
Alright.
we need to reduce this one too, because what was the max there?
exactly. Alright, you got it?
Just trying to figure out which site
Yeah.
it should be on.
Well, it has to face the street and or park, doesn't it? It has to have green spaces.
Yeah, yeah,
So we're facing a street.
but the parking though, like I said, towards it, or should it be like this, this?
So that parking lot is 2 stories.
I'm sure that's like the max case.
I'm not gonna figure that out.
So you already see, you gotta read those descriptions. There are limitations and constraints. Remember the chips and fries? There are limitations and constraints we need to deal with, you know?
Hey, you know what I just realized?
I think so.
And why don't you come over and join them so you can actually help them to dig through the description? So you're not completely isolated. Or help building, whatever, gotta be part of this.
So,
Should we do the smaller ones? Like I went to the restroom and everybody was
So that'd be
doing
one.
stuff and I
That's
was
okay, we got stuff, you can break in between, don't worry about it.
it's 2 stories, footprint.
What's that? So the purpose of this exercise is that you actually get exposed to the building types and the little tricky descriptions for each building type. So you got your 2, 3, you guys are cool? Alright,
two and then two of these.
Right, it's 2 towers, right? It's 2 luxury towers.
So now that's 3 stories.
Yeah, so your 2 10,000 square foot residential towers.
I was just trying to stick these together, because they're 2 stories each.
Parking provided in 2 stories above ground at the bottom level of each building, so it's 2 separate buildings.
With individual.
no,
What do you mean, no? It says here 20,000 square foot footprint, 2 10,000 square foot towers. Luxury condo, right?
Oh, yeah.
Who's gonna do like city pumps and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. There are different rules that you can place it, it's like, who's gonna do what?
What are we deciding?
All right,
Folding books?
let's tackle the next structure.
So he emailed that to us?
Next structure, let's play with townhomes. Townhouse.
I'll look for the townhouse.
Okay.
Figuring
Annual
this
plan
out now.
forecast for a little town.
Yeah, you can't prep for
And
that.
market.
You can't prep for that. You need to
Market
play with that.
townhouses.
And if you put the box off the plan,
That might be better.
It's on page
Yes.
17. Oh, if you go to Outlook,
Okay, so
if you go to, do you have your laptop open?
No, I put it.
demand is
Okay,
loaded.
well, if you move Gerald here, you can see the document that I have, which contains the,
Heights
sort of
3
hammer.
stories. Developer must provide 2
yeah, that's yours.
per unit. So 6 per building, 2 parking per unit.
So we use this information provided to us, which is the request for proposal. The demand forecast, page 17.
So the footprint is 10,000. What color townhouse is talking about?
Yellow.
So the demand is 100 to 150, so based on that, we look at the building icons for.
Yeah, but be careful with the parking.
Yeah.
You actually use a different block for parking.
One
Black.
yellow block, one big yellow block, and grab a thin black block.
So the description is on page 38.
Oh, okay. So how big is this thing? And this is the one you can connect them with?
They actually connect them. Are there really thin ones to connect the blocks?
No, the thin ones are your parking.
Oh, they try
From where you were.
Yeah.
Then how big is this?
That's compared to the other ones?
Well, it's like a third the size of
The
this.
codes.
So this is 4 stories.
This
Oh,
is
no,
half.
this is 3 stories here.
So.
This is a 3-story?
Yeah, 2 stories and then 1 room. Parking at the bottom level of each building.
So-
Got it.
2 stories of townhomes. We need to build 6 of these.
So 15.
So
Alright.
they should be.
Still in the yellow though.
We need to build units, 6 per building.
Well, that's 2,500 at 10% of construction costs. Because this is, how much is
That's
it?
10,000 square
10,000.
feet.
3 stories, okay, wait.
6 units.
Parking development must provide 2 spaces per unit. Okay, so 4.
Okay, so.
So 2,500?
Three years and
Yeah.
I mean,
How many units, no?
we have 3 units per, or 6 units per building.
Yeah, but how many
I
units
want
total
to
do we
understand.
need?
This is 3 stories, right?
Yes, 3 stories, so no,
Market
that's
rate,
2, and then.
Maybe like smaller ones?
No, you use the thin black ones.
These, so this should
For
be
the house?
yellow one.
Yeah,
Oh, you still thin yellow ones?
Yeah,
thin
yeah.
black ones.
Or that one?
Well, it's.
And you can use the black plate or the black double spaces.
Okay.
It works both.
Yeah, it says here, development must provide.
And there might be not enough stones blocks for you because they get intermixed. So if you're short in something, go there and take it out.
We can go get some of theirs.
Now, sharing is great.
Not sure how many we need,
That
but
was the
maybe
thin
a
black one,
typical.
so
That's
that would
fine.
be like the 3rd
6
story.
units.
Yeah.
Okay?
And
Now,
But then-
how many do we need? Because it doesn't tell us here how many different
Well,
buildings.
it's good
Is
enough.
this 100 or?
We just cookie cutter, we pop them in as we.
You just have to get exposed that this is
Yeah.
You
the
don't need
building.
15 to 20
Yes.
per year,
it's
so
affordable
3
townhouses,
is plenty.
And Ben, you just built another building type. You had to put other pieces together. It's step by step. You're not building a skyscraper at this
So
moment.
that means
So step by step,
within
getting
the
acquainted
3-year time
where to
span,
look
we're
up
looking
a
at
certain
the-
function, where to read
the
into the
full-
certain function, and then even
But then I
control
want
if
to
you
know, like,
like or not. Because if you look at your multiple
what this
luxury
is,
condos, if you would now place them, there's a description
units
on how to place them on your plan, because you see those, all the circles, the open spaces, that's basically the dots, the circles from your blocks. So you can actually put them on these blocks there.
And this takes place in the United States, correct?
Yeah,
I see where you're going, right?
small little towns,
So
it
we
doesn't
gotta
actually exist.
consider on these ones.
It gives us a breakdown.
So you would actually say, okay, fine, this is my building, now you can put this here.
Oh, you're right, you're
And
right.
you have to rotate it the proper
Okay,
way,
so
or
that's 10,000.
parking needs to be accessible from the street. An example.
Six,
So
So we,
unit
if
6
we're,
per building.
we would want to block the western.
Well, we gotta look at it some more, but yeah, it's just saying that now that we build our buildings, now we figure out based on the criteria
Right.
that we put in
Right.
there.
We got more buildings.
But yeah, I mean, we could probably do a bunch of different things.
Kelly's Supermarket. You guys are, show me what you have.
Okay, we're just gonna try to figure out like what the
Retail is
units were based
Those
on
parking.
the blocks.
Typically 10,000 square
Yep,
foot
10,000 square
surface
foot.
Kelly's
and
Six.
2 stories high.
Yep, and 6 units
Okay,
per building.
so,
Well, it says 3
Yes.
stories.
So it's three.
3 stories.
Yeah,
plus
3
the-
stories
plus the-
because you
Six.
place
Half.
the parking half
typical store is
underneath.
55,000 square
Okay.
feet, but
So you can
40,000 square
take
foot
two-
modules
Two
available.
flat ones and mimic a floor.
Oh,
We're
so
looking
like-
over a 3-year time, right?
One building every
Yeah.
3 years.
So it's not just, isn't it gonna be more than just that?
Yeah.
Is this gonna be
Yeah.
more?
It's gonna be like 500 units.
For building, the building types for now, do a good enough.
40,000.
It's about finding the right combination of blocks and get acquainted with how to read the manual.
Got you.
Because you have, for every type, you have limitations and constraints. And you will learn that the financial analyst versus the site planner need to read this in a different way. Because you will have a high or low impact, you will have market demands or not. And then you also have to figure out where and how to rotate and place them, because some of them do not mingle well with each other. It's like you're not building a nuclear power plant next to a kindergarten. Yeah? Well, speaking of power, Kelly's Supermarket.
The right representation. Oh, where do we put it? So then in terms of.
I think it's the way it's sitting. I think it's the way it's just sitting.
Oh, there's even a better how to build it on page 40, starting at 41.
One story is the height, so really, we need half of that. Professor Werther,
Yes.
it says one height is the story description, but each block is 2.
Yeah, it's fine.
Fine.
Based on that.
So you basically build a huge block house.
Kelly's Supermarket. Retail, red.
This whole thing, this
We should have
whole.
another two of these
This
big
one.
ones coming in.
Yes.
I mean, obviously flat
And giving
represents.
you the different roles and giving you the different situations where everybody needs to read this.
So then we need to read through it.
Yes.
Once we understand the material, then we designate which role we. Yeah.
And we're gonna have to team up to do the 5th role.
If there's
Including
160.
4 of us,
Yeah,
there's 5 roles.
Yeah. So how do we do that with the 5th role?
Or you decide which role you drop or partial competency.
Okay.
Okay.
Like one role you're not going to drop is the site planner or the financial analyst.
Okay, well, yeah.
I would be cool with saying, let's say the marketing director. The marketing director is basically the whole team trying to tell the story and sell the product. Or sell the
Should we
product.
worry about the mission or worry about the design?
You can go through the job descriptions and role descriptions here again, but I think marketing director is feasible to say you all are taking a share. But you gotta be then really solid on other roles. And get acquainted, next year is basically name the person.
Basically gonna be everything.
And
except-
this is also part of the assessment. You're judging your team partner and then how well they did their part in that role.
Okay.
Not just
I
the
read
way you
through and then.
that they're prepared, so that you don't come in a week or 2 weeks, verbal next week, if you will be financial planner, You gotta know a little bit about the financials on this. There's also an Excel spreadsheet. Everyone needs to take a look at this so they understand, it's about to the financial analyst, what's going on.
Something or something.
No, that's
It's
right.
like a teacher in your chest, you don't even have to be a mapping wizard to talk to your mapping wizard. But you need to understand what are the implications of your mapping wizard to do the job. Kind of the same thing here. And we're going to have like 5 minutes.
For each role.
It's better just to say like at least at a minimum, know your role. I mean, it's good to know
Yeah, you're not
everything.
going to be
There's so much
proficient.
information.
We have the little skylight.
That's another reason why we only have
What it is for the
and
moment, then
and
we'll make it look nice.
because there's a lot of stuff you need to read.
40 spaces.
And have questions for your team.
Same block of the grocery.
So there's a short description for each role. I think later on when you students will
On the
give a
same
quick
block.
rundown what this
It doesn't
does.
necessarily have to be.
I would also encourage everyone, because it's a must,
It just be like, yeah.
to read the RFP and the community letters, this whole package the city is putting up. It's 15 to 20 pages, it's an easy read, but you gotta read that, otherwise you're not getting absorbed into that setup. Right? It's fine, that's the reason why we go through the description, so.
Because I think
Okay, Art?
so we figure in terms of figuring like the building how to replicate it with the blocks, but it's more about based on the demand of the city, where to place it, because that's what we're trying to figure out
Yeah.
now.
And I do encourage, print this out, because you can take notes on it. But highlights, yeah, working with a laptop is awesome, but paperless is awesome.
Something along those
But
lines.
this, you gotta need hands-on. Alright, speaking of hands-on, I have a few more buildings, and I also have a homework assignment. Oh, the other one was made up, this is a creative one. Alright, give me 1 second. We start about 15, almost 20 minutes late, so if we go 5 minutes over time, I think I'm okay. This is on Blackboard. I will check if it, I'm pretty sure I posted it already. This is your reverse design assignment. So if you look here right now, the site plan you look at is something like block 1, or the block with the homeless shelter. You look at the plan and you realize, oh yeah, this is something I can create, something I need to come up with, how I fix constellations, and in the blank space, how I put my predefined buildings. So next week, part of the playing with the building blocks is, I will not give you constraints, so you can actually freestyle buildings. Yeah? And then we add more and more description from the planning book environment to it. Like there's no limitations that, if you freestyle, there would be no limitation, let's say, of roof gardens. Building structures here do not really contain roof gardens. Yeah? So we're going to freestyle next week, very really hands-on, but the important part here in this assignment, read it carefully. There's a write-up and there's a design component. Get familiar with the land use color codes. Those are the codes I gave you. Yeah? And the systematic approaches to maneuver in the context of a site design when dealing with constraints. And I say reverse design because this, this is actually a full developed site. Yeah, I know, adult coloring books. They also exist for planners. Yeah? I want you to print out this page. I want you to get some crayons or coloring pencils. Don't buy the $50 set. Huh? Don't. Text markers for highlighting for your textbook will not work. They're not enough coloring. They also, through the light up, they're not really in contrast. And I want you to fill out this site. Envision if this is a new site you develop, you have no idea what is what. Right now it's just black and white lines. I want you to take a look at this, absorb the spirit of the site, as funny as this sounds. Absorb the structures, potential infrastructures and buildings. Observe and absorb. And then start doing your own site design, city design. Start creating your own plan. How would you create patterns or none and make this happen.
Looks like Pittsburgh.
So it's kind of like how you want to design it, like a blank slate,
Well,
right?
what do we do?
Yeah,
Color it in.
Are we just
Coloring it.
See like the residential?
Like what you want
Perfect.
residential to be?
So
Okay.
basically, based on this color code for the different.
this color code gives you an idea what could be residential, what could be institutional or public.
So how are we
If the
gonna,
color code doesn't exist, come up with one, create a legend, and put the legend on the side or on the top.
Okay.
Alright?
So make like your central core or your residential.
However you see it.
However you would like to see a perfect place. But the part of this is, it's not a blank sheet where I tell you, do something.
can you,
You have limitations and constraints on here. I did not put a scale on it, so you're free-minded creative here.
What do you say scale? Do you mean in terms of?
You don't know if this 100 meters or 1,000 feet. You don't know that.
it's 10,000 square feet.
Or 1,000 square feet.
You don't know that. I'm also not telling you if this is a single story or a 15-story high building in the real world. This is actually a real world piece. I'll show you next week.
I think you might be right about that being Philadelphia.
Well, yeah, I mean,
No,
it's
say
like
it
the
looks
Three
like
Rivers
Pittsburgh.
It's not Pittsburgh. It's not Pittsburgh.
So you want us to
Is it in
see the
Pennsylvania?
scale as well?
It's not in the state of Pennsylvania.
It's in the United States.
Guys, you will see next week. You will see next week. Huh? So use the parcel-based outlines for the neighborhood area, and then use the color codes and do coloring. And think about it, print it out on paper, and you see how tiny that can be. So a finger-sized crayon, wax crayon, might not work. But again, there are different levels of coloring pencils. Don't buy a $50 set. Go cheap.
We only need a few colors, right?
We're gonna figure
Well,
this
if you
out.
5, 10.
20.
Yeah? And remember, it's all about a site has a story. Because at the end of this class, you present a story to the council.
So they're just one of these two.
Have fun.
To drop a movie quote, it's all minutes.
I was wondering.
Who did daddy wanted to do?